Welcome to Season 2 of Pod Practice, where Mama Bird alumni Quinn Finer, Mikey Lund, and myself, Alex Atkins, talk about Ultimate from the perspective of players and coaches. We want to engage with you, so please reach out, say hi, ask a question, give some feedback. We look forward to talking with you. To reach out, follow us on Instagram or YouTube at podpractice_pod. Listen on Spotify at Pod Practice, or email us at show@podpracticepod.com. I hope you enjoy this episode.
According to kids.
How are you going to say that and then throw it on me?
That's fucked up, Mike.
Quinn, I think you're a great thrower, just so you know.
Thanks, Calvin.
I was so surprised when you started throwing all those things and they were working.
I worked on it real hard because people like Mike shitting on me for no reason. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Pod Practice. Today we have Calvin Brown, USA mixed team and World Beach champion. Calvin, how's it going, man?
It's good. Good to be here.
Good. Thanks for coming on.
Cut. Take two. That's
Damn.
Come on,
Kids,
man.
give us one.
All right,
I'm
you
just
go, kids.
kidding. I was kidding. That was great. It was beautiful.
Also, Cal Poly SLO standout, and you just came off a deep nationals run where you beat our birdies. I suffered that defeat directly. I was there. Can you give us your thoughts on your last nationals appearance and what went well for you guys?
I mean, it was pretty sick. I think made finals for the first time in program history, which is always nice to make history. I mean, would have been cool to win. Losing in finals sucks a lot. Definitely been thinking about that game, but had a lot of cool moments. I think the semifinal comeback was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I would never been part of a game that was that up and down, I guess. And I mean, nationals as a whole was pretty wild with all the weather. I think Saturday was super nice and felt great. And then Sunday was pretty awful, and then the wind on the stadium on Monday was super swirly.
Yeah. At Breeze Stevens, is that?
Oh boy.
Actually called Breeze.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, proud of the team, proud of the season. Feel pretty good about my college career when it's all said and done. So,
when you were a freshman, that was, what was that, 2018?
Yeah, came in 2018,
2019. Was that the first time SLO made semis?
First time since the 80s. I think we made it once in 1980 something, maybe.
And then you graduated a lot of guys, right?
Yeah, we had a pretty big fifth year class, Ian and Caleb and Petty John, Dylan Whited. So super young the next year, but COVID kind of killed that. So
I remember playing you guys in pool play in 2019.
Yeah.
In one of the just most awful games. It was 110 degrees, but it was windy as hell. And I swear to God, I picked up on the downwind cone 15, 20 times in that game. And the announcer is just in the background. And Quinn Finer to pick up for Colorado Mamba. And I'm just I'm going to turn it first throw again. This is fucked. And I even remember marking up with you a bit, Calvin. It's pretty interesting because I remember you being pretty hyped coming into college and lived up to the hype. So
yeah, I watched the game a couple months ago actually, and I was like, "Oh, what's Quinn doing on me on this O-line?"
It's so weird.
Here?
It's because I don't know why. It was crazy.
You played YCC with a couple of our guys too, right?
Danny and
Danny.
I guess I played a year of U16 with Seth because I came up to the Bay when I was in high school for that, but. I'm from SoCal, so Danny's from LA and
gotcha.
KJ as well at YCC.
KJ, what's he up to?
He's back from New Zealand finally. He's playing Condors this season.
Dr. Disrespect.
Dr. Disrespect. Yeah.
He's playing Condors, huh?
Yeah, and Growlers, I think.
Nice.
Interesting.
Big pickup for the Growlers.
It's huge for actually massive.
Pretty good. He's pretty good at Frisbee.
He's very good.
So yeah, will you dive into that semis game a little bit more, if you don't mind? You went down what 6-2, I think, in that game.
Yeah, I think we like in the first half, I think we played like 8-0 points or 7-0 points, and we got broken on like 5 of them, maybe 6. I don't know. We got broken on most of them because we actually like got 1 or 2 breaks, and it was like 8-4 at half. So it was like pretty tough. Personally, pretty tough. Like I like turfed the first throw, and then like I don't know, had a drop, couldn't throw in the wind or the rain. Apparently, I don't know. I'm from SoCal, doesn't do either of those things there that much, and it was like because warm-ups it was like raining and like pretty playable, I would say, but like definitely there. And then like as soon as the game started, it just got like insane. And like I don't know, Darkside made a bunch of plays and we did not make as many plays. So
Yeah,
it also makes your job specifically so hard, where you're just like pretty central cog handler for like you're touching the disc one every 3 throws, it seemed like most of the time. So that makes your job so hard, especially with the throws that that O-line needs you to make. It's no easy task in that condition.
yeah, we were kind of like more of a big ball team this year, like split sack and like kind of relying on like long cuts and drawing help. And then when that doesn't like get super viable, I think it just
in the wind,
everything gets a little harder.
Right.
So
yeah.
But it's sick when it works and when it's not windy.
It's fun. It's a fun
So
offense
fun.
to run.
And the throws started dropping for you in the second half.
I mean, just got to keep shooting, right? Like,
what is your mentality though in those moments? Because you know all those things are true about your slow style of offense, and honestly, Mama Bird is not about big ball this year, but we run similar structures that face similar challenges in that type of weather.
Yeah.
Are you like feeling extra pressure, or what's your mindset in those types of games?
I mean, I think like pressure comes from the game and like the environment a little bit, but I don't know. I think I should do a better job of adjusting my like shot selection as I'm like not feeling very hot. But like I don't know, right now in my game, I kind of just feel like I go on like autopilot a little bit and just like if it feels right, I'm gonna take it, and if it doesn't, like I mean, I'll probably try to look it off, but it's like pretty hard for me to like think, oh, the conditions are hard, or like, oh, I haven't been hitting, so I'm gonna like start looking this off. I think it's like it's pretty natural for me to just like keep shooting. I guess I think in high school, like I was like my team's offense, or like I feel like some of those habits kind of come back when it's like it's really tense, which is maybe not the best thing. But like, I mean, I hit 2 hucks in the like 2 of the last 3 breaks, which were pretty important, and like I'm glad I had that
one
confidence.
Alex, that was you, right? That threw it to him, and that was the upwind side.
Yeah,
that was a sick throw.
I was pretty happy with that one. Yeah,
that was the huge, like the crowd was way into it at that point, and everybody was rooting against Darkside.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I think like it was super one-sided for the crowd too.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it just reminds me of that Dion Waiters quote. I'm sure you guys are familiar, but it's, I'd rather go 0 for 30 than 0 for 9, because if you go for 0 for 9, that means you stop shooting. That means you lost your confidence. So it's like, maybe you should just keep shooting.
Yeah, there's only a certain level though, I think.
Yeah. Where is the cutoff point?
Yeah, exactly.
Were you talking about like the play style of, SLOCORE being like kind of a big ball team, and Brown being the exact opposite of that, and doing their annoying dominator that's so hard to stop? And talk just a little bit about their style and other team styles at college national in general, but I think a lot of people are interested in Brown's style in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I think they run a lot of dom. I think last year and during the regular season, they were opening up a little more. Like they have like Jacques initiate downfield or like with the disc, and he'll like hit open hucks if they're there, and like pretty tight windows. But they kind of didn't do that so much in the final. I think they like threw 3 hucks or they threw 4 hucks and turned over 3 of them. So Um,
One was a travel.
oh, Leo's.
Huge
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah, should have seen that in the moment. Tough. But I think like they're just like really elite at kind of getting on that block of like the front cone or like front of stack in that ace position, and just like kind of picking your poison, you know, making the defender commit one way and then going the other way. And they got like 4 elite break throwers on that line that can just make your life really hard is the mark. I thought we like played pretty well on defense with like, I mean, like man on man, especially early. And I think we probably like lost legs and they were kind of just running through us at the end. But I mean, it's hard to stop like that, like chemistry and that level of like throwing. I think so. Jacques and Leo are so good. Just like,
They're crazy.
Yeah.
They're crazy. They, I guess you were right behind them in assists. I think you were like right on par with them in assists per game because you played one
fewer.
How, is that right? Did they?
Yeah.
They did go through pre-quarters.
Yeah.
They?
But Jacques had to sat out a pool play game, right? Because of
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
he could have had even more. Yeah. Well, what do you think about like your style versus theirs that juxtaposed together? Like, does it inspire you to play like that at all, or is it not attractive at all? I see Quinn shaking his head no.
I mean, like I think everyone nowadays plays like that a little bit when they get to end zone. Like pretty much everyone's end zone set is like a dom or like maybe with more cycling, but it's all predicated on that handler motion and that like attacking the open side with like toes goes and then kind of, I don't know, attacking rolls, hitting sevens, that kind of thing. But I think I definitely want to get better at it. Like I think I have the throwing skill set, but like not necessarily the like footwork or the like change of direction right now to be like pretty elite there. I definitely think it performs better in like inclement weather or like when
totally
getting taken away. But it just like wasn't for us this year. I don't think like I think like I'm more of a big ball player and Alex Nelson is just like, you know, the best deep thrower in the division, I feel like. And I don't know. I think there's like a team, like a SLOCORE team in the future that like, you know, depending on the personnel, like it might be more of that. I'm not saying it's never going to be the offense, but I don't know, just not this year.
Are Kyle or Anton coming back?
Yeah, like Kyle and Anton are both coming back. I think we're losing like me, Seamus, Zach, and then a couple more. But all the big guys are staying.
How old is Seamus? I swear that guy was like a freshman when I was a freshman.
Seamus, that's definitely not true because Seamus, so he's a grade younger than me. I guess he's like 23 now, and he started playing in college. So it's just he's played club like his first summer he could have after COVID, I think.
Okay, maybe that's why.
So he's been playing club for a while with the Condors, but his 7th ever tournament was club nationals. It's like my favorite fact about him. So,
wow,
yeah. So he came in as like a true rookie,
crazy,
which is pretty impressive.
Damn, I saw him on like this was probably a year ago now, but I saw him on like a TikTok. He was at like Wisco College or something like that, and it was like some weird TikTok, and this guy was just like asking people at a party like what. Just like random questions.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
I think that's fucking Seamus Robinson. I was like, oh my God, that's just a random fact. But
yeah,
he's good.
He's very good.
I know that Quinn, you had a run in with him in 2021.
I did.
And
I still feel bad about it.
I didn't realize actually he seems like how tall is he? He's
like 6'3",
his size,
I think.
His size really stood out to me at this national. When he laid out to almost block you, Quinn, or maybe not almost, but to hack your elbow. I had no idea he was so big. I'll pose a question to the three of you as a group because you're all kind of more, I think, big ball throwers in general. But who do you maybe two-parter? Who's the best thrower of the group and who could convert? Who is most likely to be able to convert to that small ball style that Brown plays?
Definitely not Quinn. We know that.
I think Kins is less markable than I am. I think you have like higher releases, and you are, I don't know, like I remember marking up against you like last year in the program. And I was like, all right, all I have to do is like I can like take away one thing if I really commit, but I like have to really sell out, and then I give away everything else. Because you're just like super long, and you got your back end releases from like your shoulder or up, which is really annoying. And then I think just like huckers, it like if you're in rhythm or you're shooting, it can feel like you're like really good. And I remember like hearing a podcast and Quinn was like, Calvin's the best thrower in the world after Worlds trials or whatever. And I was like, I mean, I had a good weekend, but like, I think, you come down to earth sometimes. I think it's tough to say. I like backing myself though, generally. So I got a lot of belief.
Yeah, I think the rhythm thing is true. And like, if you're just a high volume thrower in general, like you're going to have off games, off days. Like it's just going to happen. Doesn't matter. That doesn't make you less of a good thrower. I think Kins has the best backhand out of the three of us. I think Calvin is the best overall thrower out of the three of us. But I think my skill set my skill set's going to lend itself to that Brown style better. I don't know if would be the best at it, but my skill set would suggest that I'd be the best at that out of the three of us, I think.
Suggest.
Yeah.
You have the quickest. You are the quickest for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And fastest, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin, you're pretty darn good in the air, though. How tall are you?
6'2", about. Maybe it's 6'1.5", but round up. So
Kins, you're 6'4".
Yeah.
I think Kin's footwork in small space has always impressed me.
Yeah.
Like Quinn's just explosiveness in that area. But Calvin, you have, I think, probably the most release points in general.
For sure.
I
think that's true.
Pretty well to that.
Kins is a bit of a high release backhand merchant, so but it works. I can't really argue against it.
Yeah.
It's just hard for me to get down there.
I love watching you throw your high release backhand, and everybody's on the sidelines yelling high right hand, and they're like jumping with their right hand, and Kins is just like throwing it over them.
It's like you and Mac both just have that, like you can generate power from over there, which I can't do. So
yeah, I don't have that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mac does have those. Another Brown.
Yeah,
Brown guy. If Mac can play that style at his athleticism, I feel like there's no way.
Damn.
But Mac was the one like dishing it, Usually he was the disher.
He caught a lot of stuff on the break side.
For sure. Or like resets.
He's got a good hezzy.
He's shifty. He's shifty. He really is. Like maybe he like self-proclaimed not the most athletic dude, but he is shifty and not like a super easy guard for like what you would think. Like you go down like, I'm gonna lock this guy up, and he's like he gets his because he is not a super easy guard.
Yeah, I think he also has like very good like timing and like instincts to kind of get you uncomfortable. Like I guarded him a few times, like when I was up in the Bay. And I think he's just like he doesn't ever let you get like set as a defender, and he's like always ready to like kind of slip you as soon as his thrower is like ready to look at him. And I think those kind of little tricks like make defenders' lives like really hard.
I thought he did a really good job getting open on Spicer last year.
Mm-hmm.
And Spicer's one of the best defenders I've ever seen in that space.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the finals in general?
Yeah,
just like your thoughts on it. It did look, that stadium wind is such a shite thing to play in, because it's just like with just a straight wind on a field, like you can account for it, but with stadium wind, it's just like you just get fucked sometimes no matter what you do.
I think I did not realize how gusty it was like up high during the game. It would have been like I probably should have spent more time like kind of warming up and like testing things out, but I remember like throwing things that like felt really good coming out of my hand, and then just watching them like not be, and kind of just being confused. And like I think I had a couple of hammers that felt like pretty nice, and then they just like sailed. Like one of my backhand hooks to Anton, I was like, "That's a dime!" As soon as I released it, and then I looked and I was like, "What's happening?"
Was that the one that dropped, or the one that he caught, or was that the one that just
it
sailed?
just like hit the turf, I think.
Yeah.
I just like tried to throw a pretty IO, and then it turned over. But I mean, I think like we didn't play our best game. We like they played our split stack pretty well, I think. Like very poachy, and then like pretty good handler defense to keep us from like moving it side to side, which is kind of the way to beat poaches. But like I think we just got a little scared, like didn't play with our system in like the second half fully, and I don't know, didn't convert on the chances that we got. So tough to win a game when you do that, but I don't know.
Yeah, they played pretty well too. Like just made some pretty timely plays,
Yeah,
I suppose. Definitely. Like Leo's foot block. There were a lot of hand blocks in that game, weren't there? A lot of point blocks.
Me, Kyle, and Anton all got stuffed, which is not really a
Really?
good sign.
Crazy.
So,
That's wild.
yeah, mine. That was just me being lazy and bad, but I don't know. It's just no pivot back end is like always there until like it's not, and then you're like, okay, now I have to.
Or was it Seamus like the point blocked them on the up one?
Seamus got one on them, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
and then you hucked it to him, I think.
Yep, that was. Yeah, it was a pretty hectic game too. There were a lot of turns.
Yeah.
So, and then like I feel like we had some deep points where we just like played pretty good defense, got them to like cough it up, and then like immediately turned it in a short field, and then they ran their ends and set. It was like, well, that's tough. So
yeah, I think Saul texted me and he's like, "Did Cody just tell them to jack it every time the D line gets it?" I was like, "I don't think so. I think this is what's going on."
Yeah,
I mean, some of them were pretty good looks.
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
definitely. Yeah.
To huck or not to huck, classic.
To huck, dude. Come on, you can just do it, man. It's so fun.
No, I know it is fun, but winning is also fun.
Yeah,
like
I will say though,
in my head,
I think it's really cool that you guys also won the Spirit, which is not something I would generally say. But since you guys were a successful team at Nationals and also won Spirit, I actually think that's commendable and pretty cool. Like when the team that gets 16th wins Spirit, maybe this is a hot take and maybe I'll get fried for it, but I don't really care. When there's like the 16th place team wins Spirit, I'm like, cool, man. Like you guys were just having fun anyway. Like, so I think it's very cool that you guys did that though.
Yeah, you don't see that very often.
It's easy to be spirited in not close games, but yeah, I'm pretty. I mean, like, I don't think I like super focus on Spirit scores, but like we definitely talk a lot about like culture and like how we like come off to other teams, how we like treat opponents. So like definitely happy that we won that, and like it's cool that that's like kind of showcases a little bit about what core is about. So
yeah. Can you talk about your coaching staff quickly? I know. How many coaches did you have this year? 2?
We have like 2 at Nationals. Like some alumni come out and help, but we have like Tim. He lives in SLO. He's like an ex-revolver guy.
Is it Tim Gilligan?
Tim Gilligan, yeah. And then Cody is like living in New York, but he's crazy.
Yeah, how does that
flies
work?
out to some tournaments and helps out, and I don't know, has coached enough of us for long enough that like it works in some ways, but it's definitely like, you know, not as fun as when he's around a ton. So, but I mean, he's just like kind of a genius when it comes to Frisbee. So
he is. Yeah,
it's helpful.
How are your practices run? Is Tim present?
Tim's there for a good number of them. When he's not, it's like captain led, and that's I don't know, been pretty consistent for core since I've been here. Is like we have captain led practices like maybe 1/2 to 2/3 of the time. So I don't know. I think it's a challenge, but it's also, you know, a growth opportunity for those players that have to lead.
Yeah. That's something that we've been kind of going back and forth on a lot because we've talked to a lot of Darkside people and they're similar. It's a lot of captain led stuff. Yeah. And at first I was just totally blown away that they could have, I mean, they won 3 straight titles with that format. And I just, it's crazy to think that, maybe it's not crazy, and maybe it means that we should take the training wheels off more often in Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, I think like ownership is pretty big. Like our captains write our practice plans a lot. Like we have like a strat team that like comes together and like sets an agenda or like sets like what topics we want to cover. But it's like the drills, like practices, like most of that is captain led or like like a older person will step in and help. Like I wrote some of them this year as a non-captain old person on the team, but yeah, I think it's like, I mean, it also helps everyone just like be more engaged with like the strategy side and I don't know, understand what's really going on.
Where did the influx of talent come for SLO in the last 10 years? Do you know, like, did you specifically choose
I was
SLO when you knew that they were good?
It was a factor. I think like I don't know. I was choosing between like Berkeley and Cal Poly. It was like my final two. And it was a lot of it was like culture and like, I don't know, Berkeley has these huge auditorium size classes for their first couple of years for like pretty much everyone. And that wasn't like my favorite thing in the world. And SLO is like really small class sizes and like really hands-on learning. But also I like had a bunch of friends going that were played Frisbee, like KJ and Jake Thorne and Emmett Holden. I don't know if you guys know them, but I like know them from high school and YCC. And so it was like really appealing to go spend like 4 years playing with them. It was less like this team is, you know, going to be like competing for national championships or whatever, but more just like they have a good team that cares about Frisbee. Like SoCal youth scene is like pretty dead. So it was hard to find numbers for practice. And it was hard to like, it was like a constant struggle to like even play. And so then coming and like getting to play as much as I wanted was kind of a good dream.
Do you think SLO will continue to have good recruiting classes?
I mean, like I think it's been getting harder to get in, which is not great. So, because everyone that doesn't get in ends up going to Colorado or Oregon. So, or maybe Santa Cruz. But, so
yeah, when you mentioned class size, I was wondering, did Kins or Quinn consider that at all?
I'd never gotten. No, God, I wouldn't have gotten into Cal Poly. Are you kidding me? So CU is also now getting harder to get into,
and it's expensive.
When I got in, it was like a 99% acceptance rate. Like,
Yeah.
it's like 70% now. I probably wouldn't have gotten in, man. Like, honestly, I probably wouldn't have.
Well, it's just because so many people are applying. It's
yeah,
like,
dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. That's what makes a good school nowadays is a football coach. Gonna learn a lot from Dion in your 4 years here, so better start applying now.
Yeah, Cal Poly also has like, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
They just like admissions by major. And so like different majors can have like wildly different admission rates, and like changing is kind of difficult when you get here. So sometimes we'll like tell people if you really want to go here, like maybe engineering is, you know, like if you're really set on engineering, apply engineering. But like if you're unsure, you know, you can apply communications or, you know, so like
smart.
Yeah, there's game in the system. I made a mistake, Danny. I told him to apply math, and that was wrong for sure. He should have applied communications.
Yeah, thank God, dude. That guy's smart though. Apparently, everybody tells me he's smart, but when the cheese,
I can't
believe it either, dude. I know, but and like Seth and Buck tell me he's like one of the smartest dudes they know. I'm like, he's like one of the dumbest dudes I know. Look at him. So I don't know.
He likes acting dumb a little bit. Just look at him.
He does.
Just look at him.
He does like to act dumb.
Yeah. Whatever. He's cute. Calvin, how long have you known Danny?
I think we like played together at some Ultimate Summer Camp when we were like in elementary school or something. That's like something crazy like that. Like Silver Lake when I was in like 6th grade and he was in 5th grade maybe. I think we only like really became friends like maybe high school, like YCC. He played with me in the Bay for 1 year for under 16, and then we played Powerline for 2 years and spent a lot of time together. I don't know,
so he's the one that got away, huh?
Oh yeah, big time. He would have come too. He would have come to Cal Poly as well. So
thank God.
Yeah.
Dude. I think he's happy.
I know he is happy. He likes Colorado a lot.
Maybe not as happy as he would be if he was healthy, but
happy
with the
he's almost back.
He had a bit of a scare.
A bit of a setback.
Yeah. So Danny Landisman tore his ACL last July in a Summit game. I think it was July.
Yeah.
And was it against you,
Yeah.
Calvin?
It was.
It was. Okay, because Jeff was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
And he tweaked it a little bit last week, which is scary. Hopefully,
it's probably my fault because I was hyping him up too much to do the shuttles. We were just doing a shuffling drill.
Yeah.
But like you had a partner and the partner's job was to like yell at you to motivate you. And
lateral movement.
I feel like I'm pretty motivating, and Danny was going uber hard shuffling. Had a little
too hard in hindsight.
Should be good
coming back.
I think it was mostly his ankle, though, right?
No, it was his knee. But it should just
Christ.
be some scar tissue, which is very common.
Yeah.
Calvin, you deal with that at all post surge?
I was mostly just like tendonitis was like the big thing I had to overcome.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's like, oh God, that's the
How long did it take you to feel like you were 100%?
Or
do you even feel like that yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think by now, for sure. I think like most straight line stuff, explosive stuff came back maybe like a little over a year was when I felt like pretty good about that. And then like, I think change of direction and like small footwork stuff was maybe like a few more months after that. I think like last year playing, I remember like having to guard handlers and be like, I cannot like do this at all. I'm getting cooked. And I think like by Easterns is when I like felt like pretty set and like I felt like it was playing well then too. So
what were the biggest things you learned from getting hurt? Recovery, coming back and stuff.
I like biomechanics of like jumping and running, I think is like, I paid a lot more attention to that. I think my like PT was like, yeah, you are like a super quad dominant athlete and it's like gonna like mess your knees up. So you gotta like start using your glutes more and start like, you know, hitting triple extension when you're jumping and kind of like being a more balanced athlete. And so I've been working on that and like keeping that in mind while I do my PT or do my tempo runs or anything like that. So I think it's probably the, I don't know, most actionable thing. Mental side, I kind of just like missed Frisbee a lot and that wasn't super fun, but I don't know. It's tough.
But in general, you're more in tune with your body, it sounds like.
Yeah, I like to think so.
Did you find any other fun things that you enjoyed while you were hurt? While you missed?
Not as much as I should have probably. I like set myself up to like have no school like my last quarter and I was like, I'm just gonna have so much time to play and practice and get in shape. And I was just like doing nothing and sitting around. But like I don't know, I spent some time at home with my parents and like traveling a little bit in California. So that was nice. But yeah, I was coaching basically, and I mean it was fun and it was rewarding, but like not as cool as playing. So
yeah,
coaching slow or
like basically like I was captaining, but I was like, you know, yelling at the O line and telling them what to do and calling plays. So
maybe moving on a little bit to one of the main reasons we first started chatting, that's throws in general.
Yeah.
I think all three of us are all three of you, I'll include myself, all four of us are very thoughtful when it comes to throwing, and whether or not Quinn is included in the same hemisphere. According to kids.
No, what do you mean? How are you going to say that and then throw it on me? That's
fucked up, Mike.
That's because it is. It's true. Anyway.
Quinn, I think you're a great thrower, just so you know. I think
thanks, Calvin.
I was so surprised when you started throwing all those things and they were working, because I was like, in college he was not doing this at all, and then in club it's like, oh my god,
why does it keep working?
So scary.
I worked on it real hard. Yeah. I worked on it real hard because people like Mike shitting on me for no reason.
That's why you're good. The only reason you're any good is because of me, Quinn.
All motivation.
The reason I am good is because I respond well to people saying negative things about me.
Yeah, because turns out you had terrible fifth years. You had terrible coaches who were just really mean to you, and it worked.
It worked.
But yeah, actually, Calvin, you mentioned throwing one of like the deep shots in finals with that IO edge, and can you? I guess just do you have like a general philosophy on your approach to throwing and your approach to developing throws? And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think this probably stems a little bit from high school when I was playing with like people that hadn't played for very long and like couldn't really catch. So I threw everything like really softly, and like
Yeah.
even on like unders and everything, it's like you got to just put so much touch so that like you know
Yeah.
everything's catchable and everything's coming in like at the right side. And I think that's helped me a lot. I always think about it, especially for like away shots, especially for break side shots. It's like I think about like throwing a shape rather than throwing to a point. And so like if you think about it like a deep look, it's like a lot more important the edge of the frisbee and like the side of the offensive player it's on than like being super accurate in like a I don't know 5-yard square or anything. So it's
I
like,
like that.
you know when you're like statically hucking with one of your friends or whatever, it's like I feel like I've always thought I must be like horrible to like huck with because I make people run around so much because I'm like not paying attention to aiming at all and just throwing these like big old shapes that you know may go 50 feet one way or whatever. But I think just like visualizing a cut and then like realizing like you know if I put this angle on it or whatever and it comes down like this slowly, like I can really like put it anywhere in the end zone and it'll catch it. So
Yeah. I think I like what you said about shape, especially because there's like a catchable shape sort of. It's like if you put it with the right edge, the right angle, with the right shape, you just have to put it out in front of the person
Yeah.
and then leave the rest up to them.
yeah, just on the opposite side of their defender, and then they can just run onto it. So
Quinn, what are you thinking about when you throw? You throw with a little more edge. I think would be accurate to say. Is that accurate?
I think it's probably accurate. I think about edge as well. I definitely throw or shape as well. I definitely throw with more edge, I think, than a lot of people. But I would say like from me to Calvin, like Calvin's more throwing standstill stuff. Like I'm throwing a lot of rhythm hucks. And I think if I was to throw a lot of standstill hucks, I probably wouldn't complete as many as I do. But when I am throwing hucks, I'm more shooting not for the person, but like for a spot on the field. So it's kind of a little bit against what Calvin said, but not real. Like I think Calvin probably does this too. But like if I catch something, like my favorite throw, I say this all the time, is when I catch it to the flick wide side and then I throw a flick like across the field. I'm aiming for the cones. I'm not aiming for like the person. I'm just like, okay, if I can hit that cone with like enough edge that's coming back into the field, that person can run onto it. So kind of similar to what Calvin said. But I love aiming for a spot and not a person. Just makes it way easier. Especially when you're throwing with edge, if you're aiming for a spot. Like if you're aiming for a person, it's usually short with edge.
Yeah, I also think about like edge as like that back shoulder fade through. Is that the clip that we posted that Calvin? I think you may have commented on throwing that fade. Am I remembering this correctly?
yeah, I think there's like I don't know, like a butterfly cut or something that you posted, and just like the throw over the defender's head, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
But
when you're hucking, are you trying to lead away from the defender at all like that? How often do you think about it?
Yeah, I feel like I'm more likely to like throw a cross field than like a back shoulder.
Okay.
But that's like a personal thing. I feel like most people don't throw the cross field like kind of around everything.
Right.
But yeah, I do think about like just trying to put it on the opposite side of the defender, or if I'm throwing a back shoulder, it's like, yeah, leading away from the defender. So they like don't have a play on the disc.
Kins, what are you thinking about when you're throwing bombs?
I don't know.
You just let it rip. You throw them pretty flat.
No.
The backhands come out flat.
I guess it just depends, though. No, I like the aiming for the spot. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, we've talked about how the matchup is really important to me, and I think I liked how Calvin put it a lot, actually, which was really just like, it's most important that you're getting it on the right side and on the right angle so that it's like catchable for the person receiving it. And, you know, other than that, I definitely want it. Like we've also talked about, like I would rather miss short and have it be to that right side and where they can get it than to like throw it too far. Like I definitely realized that like a few years ago. Like there's absolutely no reason to like if you are throwing because if you're throwing to a good receiver, you're not throwing it too far. You're putting the right shape on it, putting it to the right spot. Like you will make your huck percentage. If you execute that, you will make your huck percentage very high because you're just
like if you were to miss in any direction, if you miss that way, at least you leave the receiver a chance to make a play.
Totally. Like you give yourself so much more room for error, like on the throw that needs to be executed. Like you can, if you're a little bit shorter than you intended or a little bit longer, a little floatier or whatever, like at least you're giving your receiver you're just like maximizing the shot you're giving them. That's really what's important to me.
Yeah. I think something that both Calvin and Kins do super well that like I try and work on is you guys throw higher hucks a lot of time. Like you guys put a lot of height on your hucks, and that's not something like I generally do. I generally just wait a second longer and then rip it.
Yeah.
Which
no me gusta.
Definitely gets me in trouble sometimes, but I think I've gotten pretty good at it. With most people, like I'm not a good hucking to Kins because it doesn't really work for Kins most of the time. Like I try to adjust for him, but like if I'm hucking to like Cal Stoughton or Denny or something like that, I'm just like I catch it and I sit on it a second longer. I'm like, okay, I can just rip this thing with like edge into their body and they're just going to run onto it. So I need to work on being able to be like, okay, I need to throw this higher, where it's just like in my head, I don't even think about that. I'm like, I'm gonna juice this thing. Like, like I don't even think about the height of it generally. So that's something like I've been trying to work on a little bit.
I mean, I think the more height you use, the like greater edge you can like kind of change as like the throw goes on. Like just like kind of a physics point of view, I think. I remember like being like, how do discs work? And I like watched a YouTube video about it, and like the discs, like it goes from like IO to OI and like back again, and like that's based on it like going up and then like back down. And so like I always like I can't think about that in a game. Like that's obviously not very applicable, but like when you're like messing around throwing, you're like, how do I get this like to float a little longer? How do I get this like to blade in like a little nicer? Like I think playing around with height is like super like informative for me at least.
Have you thrown an aria much? Sorry.
Not really. I was throwing one like right before nationals, and then I was like, "What am I doing? I cannot do this right now." I like realized and just tossed it.
Dude, that thing is trash. Don't throw it.
It's different though. It's beefy. I've been struggling with my flicks a bit on it, just getting the right. You got to throw it a lot harder, and you got to throw it OI and.
But just harder. Is it harder? Because if you throw it harder, it goes farther as well. So if you're throwing it harder, it's
harder. My thing is like throwing it. Well, you just can't baby it. Like you really got to snap it. Otherwise, it's just gonna fade out. If you want like the OI finish, which normally is how we want it to finish on like the majority of
OI
throws
edge.
And stuff. Yeah. I would say at least the throws that I'm throwing, I want it to finish OI typically for like a flick throw and. It's just sailing. I've been noticing that on like some shorter flicks on the sideline, whereas like I could just throw a chest level discraft and have it, travel at chest height and be soft. Like when I try to throw this one soft, and flat, it just goes up in the air and like is way too floaty than what I would like. Yeah, it's interesting. The more I play with it, the more, because at first just throwing it was like, oh, it's, slightly different. And now the more we play with it, the more like the subtleties are showing.
I'm seeing the turns are coming from like people in like that probably wouldn't turn something usually with an Ultra Star. Like they're coming with like just like the muscle memory throws, the ones that are just like, oh, just like catch it and throw it. And it's like, well, that came out right, but it just like did something completely fucking different. It's annoying to me, the disc thing.
I was thinking about it. It is kind of sad that we have to play with two. Like
it's incredibly sad, dude.
It's a little sad. Yeah, it's not great.
I haven't noticed as much difference as you two throwing it until pretty recently. because I don't compete with it. I've just thrown it around pregame and everything. And I think my theory is because, like Calvin was describing, the way he throws the Discraft disc, you just you put it out there in a shape in a way where the receiver can run in onto it. So it's hard for me to understand that it's floating there longer at a higher height too. But last week I did a workout with Becky and Smith, and Becky had us doing these sprints, and then we'd chase a long ball. And I was tired. Plus, I couldn't. It was a little windy, and I could not read when it was going to come off of its shelf.
It hangs a lot longer in the air because, like, with the Discraft that like knifes down OI, like I have that like pattern recognition, and I'm like, this is when I jump. Like, this is how.
Yeah.
And with this one, because it's like flattening out more as it comes down, like it just takes a lot longer to come down. So it's like.
Right.
That extra time is very confusing. And at first, like, we were seeing a lot of people jump too early for discs. And that has always happened. So I was just like, fucking you noobs. Like,
yeah.
And then it happened to me. And I was like, oh, it's because the new disc for sure.
And it literally pretty much dies IO like every single time.
It's hard to not get it to. Like, you really gotta chop it. Like in disc golf, how I would be like chopping some overstable discs. You really gotta chop it. And like, what's interesting too is when we play in the games, it's always like a fresh new one. So it's like the most beefy that it can be. Like it is, and we're playing at altitude. So it's just kind of fucking ridiculous. Like the one I turned over this weekend to Denny, like, was like that left side of the field to the right side of the field crossfield shot. And I put like a little bit of OI, but you have to just put so much. You have to throw it at like a 45-degree angle. Otherwise it's going out to the right. It's just very interesting.
On the topic of edge, going sort of back to Discraft, when you're throwing deep shots, do Calvin, I mentioned the IO earlier because I'm just curious what you think about hucking with IO edge versus OI.
I mean, IO throws are really cool.
Super
it's like,
cool.
You know, one thing, they're so cool.
Because they're hard. They're cool for us, you know, because they're harder. But like,
not for me. Yeah,
no.
Not for someone like me.
By us, I mean ultimate players. So you count, Quinn. To like a spectator, I feel like if you didn't know what throwing a disc was, it wouldn't look any different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think like they let you access a different part of the field with like the same throw, like an OI flick and an IO flick. You know, you can hit two different sides basically, and I mean, it basically if you only throw OI hucks, you only have two options, and with IOs you have four. But they're really hard, and they're kind of a trap in certain winds too, where like if you're going into a crosswind, like one of the IOs is like pretty much impossible, and so it's like I think that's important to realize if you're trying to throw them. There have been like a lot of like rookies that come in that like are really good at throwing, and then they'll like try that one, and I'll be like, yeah, you're never going to be able to throw that one. Like that's just, you know, you have to like rip it really, really hard to be able to do that.
Right, you're trying to throw like a full field IO flick huck, and it's just like.
As a coach these days, I just try to steer people away from them because like they're either trying to fit it in that tight window and just laser it way too fast. And it also seems more susceptible to turn it into an aria, kind of where it pops up, and then it's just it either gets taken by the wind or floats up there way too long, so the defense can swarm.
Yeah, I would say like downwind when you're like on a sideline, that like IO down that sideline is like very dangerous, and I think it makes it pretty hard to mark you because the OI is also like pretty viable, and so. Like then you have like two big throws on two ends of the body, and it can make it difficult. One more thought about this. Yeah, I think just like if you can get it to sit on a shelf, like I don't think you like really need the throw to like make this huge IO angle, but if you can just start at IO and then get to sit flat on that side, like that's good enough.
Totally, and slightly finish back. Maybe.
Right, exactly.
The nose is really important on those IOs. Like if the nose isn't up like a little bit, it's just gonna sail. And if you get that, and then if you get the nose up too much, it's that one that Mike's talking about where it's just like it gets out in front of them and then it goes 30 feet in the air and everybody stands under and waits for it to like fall back down. And it's just like the worst throw ever. So like the nose has to be that much more precise when you're throwing at IO, it seems like.
Yeah.
Calvin, you ever played disc golf?
I'm not very good at disc golf. I've never played like real discs or like taken the time to like learn how to throw the like disc golf discs. I've like played with like an Ultra Star, like with my dad or whatever, like on a course, and it's impossible to like get good to like jack an Ultra Star just long distances.
Right.
Unless you're at like a really
yeah.
Well, if you want that high backhand power, just start playing disc golf and you'll get it.
It's actually probably true because you do throw like in disc golf, you throw that backhand like more off a shelf higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's how you get it.
Disc golf,
but it's not fun.
It's like a little
it's
funky.
Not fun,
I feel
Calvin.
like. Yeah, I don't think I like can handle the mental side of disc golf. I'm not gonna lie. It's like like missing a putt. It's just as like if you care. Oh, it seems so infuriating.
It's great though. It's great, and yeah, it is. That's kind of what I like the difference of it because we all play team sports. It's can be nice to just be like on your own by yourself, without anyone to tell you.
Also, disc golf people throwing forehands is like the least athletic looking thing I've ever seen. So, like, I don't really
disc golf people throwing a forehand in disc golf.
Yeah.
Oh, we just got to get you the right clip, dude.
Okay, all right.
Let someone bomb.
I don't know. They're doing funky things with their legs. That's all I know. It's
the little skip did he do?
Yeah.
Well, Skippy did.
I'm sure it's athletic in some way, but it doesn't look like it.
It's like a crow hop, basically.
Yeah,
but you don't. Instead of going like over, you go sidearm.
So you go.
I don't really speak
the
this
right
language.
foot's on
What's
the.
crow
If you're
hop?
right-handed,
Is
right
baseball?
foot's back.
Yeah, crow hop would be like baseball.
Okay,
well,
yeah,
I have this thing with Nut where Nut thinks to throw his flick the farthest. He does this. You guys have seen him do it. He does this like 360 flick.
Yeah.
There's not many things that I disagree with Nut on. I'm like most
spin?
of the time, he does a spin flick. So imagine he'll take his right foot, step it across way left to his left side of his body, and then spin around. Most of the time, if Nut is in on something, I'm like, you're probably right. What do I know? Like, I'm out. Because I watch disc golf, and I am convinced that if you want to throw it really far, you do the little side shuffle, double shuffle, keep your elbow in, and just rip the fuck out of it. And I'll die on. I will argue with Nut on that one forever.
Crow hop it is.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kins. But Nut gets a really unique elbow like
Angle.
torque on his flick because I think he used to pitch in baseball and like that's so he gets a super. I think even at the end of his Callahan video, there's this like picture of him throwing a flick pull, and his elbow is like in the most disgusting weird position ever.
That's what they say for disc golf is you got to lead with your elbow, which doesn't make sense many times in Ultimate unless you're just like unless you're in a situation where there's no mark, then you can do it, but it's not very applicable most of the time, which is also why when you take an Ultimate player to disc golf and they try to throw a flick, it looks so painful because they try to throw it hard with like their arm out and you're like, oh no, I'm so sorry.
Another dorky disc golf thing that I hate though is when they line up the shot, they're on like the tee pad and they like hold it out like exactly where they want to release it. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, just fucking throw it. They're like standing there, like looking at it like this, and I'm just like, what is
I was
that,
watching
dude?
this clip this weekend of this guy lining up a putt, and God, that is super
so dorky.
Because, like, for me, it's like, okay, visualize, kind of like, if we had the time, like during a huck, be like, okay, how hard am I going to throw this, and what like angle am I going to release it on, and like what's the line of like the disc, So like sometimes I do it like if I'm pulling a little bit because you have the time and you can think about it. But oh man, that is the worst. Like some disc golfers will just line that shit up forever. And like this particular guy like had the chalk, so they're like, and it was before a putt. And then they're like fake stepping like into the. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Like the free throw ritual. It's just part of the ceremony.
Yeah. No, it was really interesting. But shall we get into some poll plays?
Yeah, Calvin, I have one final question on throws, and then I'd love to watch this play that you sent us. Thanks for doing that, by the way.
Yep.
And this could be an all three of you question, and that is like, do you have any specific tips for aspiring throwers, or just like what is do you have a routine or go to? Yeah.
I mean, I think one thing I'm like always a little worried about is like I feel like I figured out throwing by like just like doing it a ton when I was younger and then like feeling it out and like
Yeah.
I don't think like I don't know if I know the formula to get to where I am. So like I'm always a little hesitant to like be like this advice is like for sure gonna work. But
right.
I think like experimenting like outside of your comfort zone is like really good. I kind of think of throwing when like in practice. When I'm practicing throwing, I have like two modes. One, I'm just trying to get to become like a better thrower of the frisbee, and like I'm working on like distance, or I'm working on like how far out can I release it. Like I'm not really worried about like would this work in a game? Would this like be a completion, or like how many turns I'm throwing doing it? Like I'm just trying to stretch my limits and like play with shape, play with like angle, and like get like these really exaggerated IO or like blades, and like figure out how they work. And then the other mode is like I'm like practicing my game rep scenario. And so I'm like starting with the disc in my like neutral position and like stepping out every time. And I'm visualizing a cut that I'm throwing to, like imagining which cut I would throw to in the game using this throw. And I'm like doing it like very intentionally and like thinking about like kind of every rep. And so I think it's like really easy to go out and just throw a bunch of throws and not think about it at all and think you're getting better. But I think like for me, that like divide works very well where I can feel like I'm getting like pushing my boundaries, but also like perfecting the in-game throws.
Yeah, we've described that sort of as building the mental model or having a mental model of what you're executing as it translates to a game, which sometimes is difficult, I suppose, if you've never been in those situations. But use your imagination; it works.
I like what you said about throwing with like extreme angles and stuff too. I think that's like a really good. You could make it a drill, but just like tool, just like throw the most IO and the most OI that you can with like different speeds and all that. Cause like once you get the extremes, like the intermediate levels feel a little bit easier and you have like a good understanding of it.
Yeah. I do this thing where I like have people like start like with like a blade and then like work their way down like as like a clock hand, like every angle until like they're like an IO reverse blade basically. And I think one good thing about that is like it makes people's like form and like wrist release have to be like super clean because like you can't if you're at these extreme angles or like doing this weird elbow thing, you can't like have any crutch there. Where I think a lot of beginners use their like elbow or their shoulder or like something that's like not really like to compensate for their like wrist not having like this cleanest release.
Weak wrist, man.
Yeah. So
let's get that wrist up.
Yeah, Kins has always really recommended just experimenting with edge. The more familiar you are with it, the better.
Yeah. I also think I was going to say like with Calvin is just be confident. Like don't like when you're going to try starting like new throws, if you're like at a practice or even if you're just throwing with someone, like if you throw it and it's not good, like don't be like, fuck. Don't say sorry after. Just keep going. The sorry after you throw a bad throw, especially if you're just like tossing with someone, you're like, sorry.
Never apologize.
If you're making them run like a fuck ton, like you're like Calvin and you're like having them run all, you can like throw a sorry in there, like so they know. But like, don't feel bad for trying new things because that is, we've all, I'm sure, like while we're working on new throws, we've had practices and stuff where. Definitely. You don't hit all of them, so you just got to keep working on it.
It's part of the learning process.
But maybe the confidence, I don't know. Can you teach that? Can you build that? Or does that come with
I think you just got to like build it up like through like hitting it a bunch. Ideally. I would rather someone be confident because they've hit it a bunch than just be confident for no reason. But
right. And like practicing, a lot of practice. Yeah, totally.
Practicing.
Hell yeah. Or just like, dumb confidence would be cool too, though. Just fucking rip it. Just
I definitely got some of that sometimes in games.
Some kid is about to pull up
this.
to his high school, some YCC practice after listening to this and just be throwing the craziest shit. Like, well,
He's gonna
Calvin
line
and
it
Kins
up.
told me I should throw this. He's like ripping IO flickhawks that are just, sorry, coach.
We're taking a quick break to introduce the Ulimate Playbook presented by us, Pod Practice. This is a new recurring segment where we ask elite players and coaches to detail a favorite play. The playbook will be published in its entirety on the Ulimate website as a free downloadable resource.
Hey, that's not Calvin.
That's not Calvin, but I think Aiden is pulling to Calvin. How do we want to just watch it, or do you want to set us up a little bit before I press play?
We can just like watch it once, and then I can like kind of explain what's going on.
Yeah, talk over it, Cal.
Yeah, it's it's like a split stack play. So we start we call like it 23 or 32, depending on which side the two are on. And then like you'll see James that this ace just kind of cut across while the two push, and then they just run like I think most people call it a twist motion. We say it's a wave motion, but
you call it a wave. I like that.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That's clean. Actually, I like
that was sick.
I like the addition of
that one. Like developed as perfect.
I think this is the best time it worked like all season.
That's why this is such a good clip, because a lot of clips we've been finding, like you see the potential of it, but this one it like fully came to fruition. Yeah. Everything happened exactly how you want. You ran that nice little twist,
dude. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's nice. Are there any specific times that you guys like to call this one, or is it just sort of as an inflow part of the playbook?
I think generally use this a little more going upwind when like, you want a little more throws, and then like downwind we had kind of shorter play calls, which like less passes, less room for like short field turns. I think this one is nice because in like a split stack, I think everyone knows about the twist, and like once you play a team that like cares at all about defense, they're gonna stop it if they like are keyed in on it. But then like as the ace is coming across and like you're pushing deep, it's like a pretty scary position to be in as a defender, because like your help is like getting too shallow, and then like you have to cover the sideline, which I think is like the hardest place to get to, as like if they're trying to bracket it.
Right.
And like the other option, like the bottom guy usually goes like across and then out. But if they bracket it and then it's just like play the outside, then you can just like go across and like sit for like a gut shot. And so
split, because they almost do try to bracket this here.
Yeah. I think if like James hadn't hit me because the bracket like came over more, then like Dodger number 9 is gonna be like wide open in that middle there.
For sure.
And it's just you get past the defense like pretty quickly because of that ace slash. So
yeah. That's beautiful.
What about the throw? It looks like there's kind of an upwind, crosswind. Obviously, like he's pretty open, but it's still like you executed the throw really nicely, and you didn't throw it very high, but it's got like a little bit of air bounce, nose up on it. Just talk about the throw a little bit.
I think this was like a little upwind, like a little crosswind left to right, I think. I think if you just can like put that flat and like high enough, it's gonna sit for a while. And if you like blade it too much, it's gonna catch and then like pop up, which is kind of like what happened to a couple of their throws, like this similar like shot. You can see me like doing this after, because my mark was immediately like, oh, that's out the back, and then I was like, no, it's sitting. So I was pretty happy about that one. But
that's a good throw.
Yeah, I think like
you also step out really far when you throw your backhand huck, I've noticed.
Yeah,
I feel like, I don't know, personally I don't step out that far. Like you still generate a lot of power from like a huge pivot on your backhand huck.
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know, you generate maybe like a longer lever arm if you can like kind of fully extend your arm and like get it like this like nice IO release. I don't know. I think you can't step out too far, because then you lose balance and you're not really like stable. But generally, I think like when I'm throwing as far as I can, I'm stepping out pretty far. Like I don't think stepping any shorter feels any more comfortable for me. So
I also like that it's repeatable with a mark, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just going to be the same way you throw every time. You mentioned earlier, I think, just about poachy Ds against the split stack that you guys ran. Was there any, do you have any specific tactics that you employed to deal with poaches?
We talked a lot about like pair cutting. So I guess like the idea is like if they try to guard, if they like are playing 2-on-2 and they're bracketing like deep and under, then there should be like an open middle space, or like you can like send one wide, one skinny, and someone should be open. And then so if they're gonna help, they have to send a third person, and then suddenly it's like a 3-on-2, but you have like then if you swing it and go the other direction, there should be like a 3-on-2 the other way. So someone should get open. It's like kind of the idea. So our goal was to kind of like be threatening enough with our athletes that like teams can't play us just match up 1-on-1. And then if they send 2 people, then we'll like beat it with a flood. If they send 3 people, we'll swing the disc and like find someone open on the other side of the field. It's like a pretty formulaic approach.
Yeah. So don't stare at poaching defenders or overloaded defenders, and change the point of attack where you will likely have an advantage.
Yeah, definitely. Moving the disc side to side it's always like the hard part of playing the offense. Like it's kind of easy to like, stare down hooks and like hit big unders, but knowing when to go side to side and like knowing how to generate that motion is like the difficult part.
Yeah. And the point about pair cutting, I think was on point as well, because it's crucial. If you are isolated or just isolate your teammates, then it's easy to junk stuff up.
Right.
Do you ever, as an O-line player, this is something I kind of think about. I'm curious if you think about it. We might have talked about it before on the podcast, but when you see one of their players like cross over, like they stack a line a little bit, like on that one, like Downey was on the field, and then you score in like 3 throws. Is that ever something you're thinking about? I'm like, whenever they stack a line and we just shred it at a stacked line, I can't help but just like yell like about how they should stack lines more and stuff like that. Like
Poor spirit.
I love when they stack lines and it just gets fucking shredded. Do you ever think about that?
Not in that vein.
No,
I was like Georgia. I mean, Georgia just like kind of crossed over a bunch. Like
fair
Downey
enough.
and Miller, they both just like play both ways a bunch. And I think, I mean, like the main thing I think about is like we got to make sure we have a good matchup if we turn it over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that like it's the worst feeling in the world when like they cross someone over and they like guard someone that's like not going to be great on a turn, and then they just like run them on a turn, and you're like, no, like please switch. So
cross match back if you can.
Yeah, I remember when I played D-line last year for Core, and we were playing Oregon at Pres Day, and I was guarding like one of their big guys, like I think Cal, and then we got the turn, and I was like, perfect, I can just like handle, I'll just get resets all day, it'll be fine. And then like Dan Ridholler, who's like one of their better like handler defenders, is like calling for a switch on me and like making sure he matched up on me. And I was like, I'm on D-line. I should get like free matchups. This is not fair.
I guess to wrap things up here, what's next for you? You got national team plans. I'm sure you're excited. Do you guys have training camps coming up or anything?
Yeah, we're going to Denver actually, July 4th weekend, and then we got like the week before the tournament at the end of August, and then Worlds, which will be fun.
Wow, that's kind of fast approaching. In my mind, it was still pretty far away.
Yeah, dude, it's coming up quick.
Quinn, you're going to Windmill soon?
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow actually.
Fun.
Yeah, fun. It'll be fun. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the travel, but it'll be fun.
And he's not sure if he's playing yet.
I'm not sure if I'm even playing, so.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So maybe I go all the way there to sit on the sideline. We'll see.
You can stand. You should stand on the sideline.
To stand on the sideline. You're right. Thank you.
I mean, Amsterdam will be fun regardless, I'm sure.
It'll be good. It'll be good. Last thing I'm curious about is what you touched on a little bit is national team tryouts. I think we both helped each other make the team a bit. We were like on the same teams like both
time.
days, the whole time, and we had a great connection. You were just ripping stuff to me, and I was just coming down with it all. It was like some of the most fun I've had playing frisbee. And I don't know, just talk a little bit about the tryouts in general. We talk about
That hurts, bro.
we play together all the time, so
It was a unique experience.
But yeah, just talk about that.
Calvin's hucks were better and just stealing my partner.
I don't know. He hung a couple up for me that I could just fucking
you did boom
on.
Oh my gosh.
Quinn left me for someone that hucks better.
Well, they're not on the same team now.
Yeah, we talk about how it was like one of the most grueling things ever, but just curious your thoughts on tryouts.
Yeah, I mean, it was really hard. It was like definitely like a lot more frisbee than I feel like I've ever played before, like in that time span. I think it was nice to be like a little more like in frisbee shape and like kind of in the rhythm of things because of college practices. Like I think that was super helpful. And I kind of came into it like not having super high expectations of like my chances. I think I was like I got to play well at tryouts to do well. So I'm just gonna like, have fun all that if I can. And I like hit on enough things. Then like I felt pretty good about my weekend. I was like, I'm probably gonna make the men's team, or I probably won't. I'm probably gonna get cut because I like don't think I did that much on mixed, and I like kind of balled out on men's, and then I made mixed, and I was like, what happened? Like, how did this happen? But we take it. It's probably helpful that they had like one of the mixed coaches the open field the whole time too. So, but I mean, it was super cool to like meet everyone and play with new people, and I had a lot of fun playing with Quinn, for sure.
Hell yeah!
I just like looked up and you were open, so it's like
you can't have them.
But if you want to come here,
yeah, you can have me all you want.
Yeah, the pod practice is just a come to Colorado recruitment.
That's all it is.
Yeah. And those IOs are a lot easier here.
And altitude, man. We went to TEP, and it's at altitude. And I was like horrible at hucking. I think it was like 1 for 7 or something. And I was like, I swear I'm better at sea level.
You get used to it.
Maybe.
You do.
Yeah.
How was TEP, by the way? TEP was in the middle of college season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was scary to like, I was like, please don't get hurt. I think someone on UBC got hurt, and I was like, oh man, I'm glad like me and Henry and Ben and Don were like all okay. So that was cool. But it was a lot of fun. I think it was like hard timing just because like I'm getting ready for like regionals, I think, and it's just like it's like we're trying to peak for college, and then I gotta like start my experience on this other team and like meet a whole bunch of people and try to feel connected. And I mean, it was definitely, like traveling is hard, and it was like a lot of fun, like really rewarding to like get to spend that time with like-minded people. I think like it's really cool experience to come together on like that sort of team. So
sweet. Well, best of luck in Australia. I'm sure you guys will destroy everybody. I hope so, at least.
That's the hope.
Yeah. Yeah. What else? What else for Calvin before we say goodbye?
Still playing frisbee. I think like still gonna be involved. Probably gonna play UFA next year, but we'll see where. I don't know yet.
For the summit, yeah.
Summit, dude.
I don't know. I'm not like a big like winter or snow guy.
That's
SoCal
cool.
soft.
Neither am I,
SoCal
man.
soft.
You're good. It's sunny here, dude. Sunny here.
All the time. All year long.
Mikey will get you a job.
I'll get you a job.
Sounds like a plan. Perfect.
Cool.
I got a house you can rent, a room.
Yeah. That's perfect. We could sign your contract right now. You seem super down, honestly. I think we could write something up.
Danny's out here.
Like I said, Danny is out here. That is true. Yeah. Gotta consider my options.
We'll make Danny your butler. We'll put it in the in the contract.
I don't know. I'll talk to my agent. I don't know. I hear Boston, New York are like maybe competing now to sign players.
Yeah.
So.
I know, but that's just so far. Like, I think at first you want to stop here probably. It's just like
Before I move all the
you
way
wouldn't
there.
want to. Yeah, because like, dude, that cultural difference, man, from coast to coast. Like, you get a little middle ground here, and then in like 20 years or so, you could go there.
For sure.
Atkins is right. He's right.
Sounds
The
good.
East Coast is stressful. You want to be in the mountains where it's sunny and
All
still
the time.
relaxed,
Yeah.
like California.
Like California.
I've heard some big pickups coming to Colorado next year, potentially.
Oh yeah.
Some youngsters, so you
Oh,
could
yeah.
join the troops. I don't know if I want to Kins bomb it at the moment, but
We'll sit on it.
we'll
Yeah.
sit on
Yeah,
it
We
let
need
it
to wait a
simmer.
little
Let
bit
it
longer.
simmer.
because they're just rumors. I don't have like confirmed out of it yet,
Yeah.
but
I
I
did
heard a
talk to
couple.
one of those folks, and he was definitely trying to make it happen.
The U24, we all talked about we got to play club together somewhere. So, maybe it's Colorado. Maybe that's the place.
well, and that's what it makes sense because it's in the middle.
Yeah,
It's
it's true.
and we already had a handful of U24 guys out here.
Yeah.
Although Calvin's dipping, so he'll miss
God,
out.
dude.
Oh, they're Calvin, yeah.
Other
Other
Calvin.
Calvin.
So that leaves us with an opening, a Calvin
Or Calvin.
opening. Oh, that's perfect.
There can only be one. There can only be
Awesome.
one.
This
won't
is
have
just
to-
too.
Do you hear
This is
about
too
Did you hear about our nicknames on U24?
No.
Did not.
Okay, so I went by Vinny because like Calvin.
Sure.
And then Itai, we're like just talking about how we need to come up with a nickname for both of us. And so Itai goes, we'll call him Scalv. We'll call Calvin's son Scalvin. Or just Scalv, I guess. And it was just like I was like, thank God I didn't get that nickname. That's way worse than Vinny.
I got Vinny. You got Scalvin.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty gross, but
That's funny.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for
The
coming on,
ultimate.
Cal. Thanks for coming on, Vinny. We'll
The
see you soon.
Cannabis Depot.
Yeah.
sounds good.
All right. Let's end this thing.
All
Peace
right.
out.
Bye.